Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Call the meeting to order, please. Let's rise for the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
For attendance purposes, and I call your name, please state your attendance. Susan Larcella. Here. Amy McSweeney. Here. Chad Henderson. Here. Sharon Falkowitz. Jerry Weiss. Christine Patterson.
Here.
Diana Miller.
Here.
On behalf of management, Corey Harris, Michael Canberg, and on behalf of American Lawns and Sprinkler, Ryan Kritow. Thank you.
May I have a motion, please, for us to approve the open meeting minutes of April 8th?
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from April 8th.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, well, welcome everybody. We have a nice turnout tonight. I'm glad to see that, even though it's kind of rainy and icky outside. I wanted to talk about a couple of things that the board has done since the last meeting, some things that we've been working on. But before I actually even get into that, let's all wish Alice Pollard a very happy birthday.
Hey.
She's sweet 16. Forever and ever, amen. So a couple of things that we've looked into and taken some action on recently. We've had some requests, particularly from our dog owners, to set aside an area where you can allow your dogs off leash, so you don't have to take them out to Thompson Park. So we're going to set up a little dog park, an area outside where the tennis courts are. We're going to fence off an area about, what, 90 by 40, the fencing was?
Yes, it's oblong. It's not
Yeah.
exactly rectangular.
It's oblong.
Size.
And it'll be double-sided, so you can have large dogs on one side and then little baby dogs on the other side, so you don't have to have, your miniature schnauzer in the same space as a Doberman. So that'll be going in soon. We have the Buildings and Grounds Committee is beginning its work of walking around the community and taking a look at siding and gutters and things that may need some fixing or replacing. So if you see people walking around with clipboards, it's your neighbors checking for any damage you might have outside your home. That'll be going on throughout the season. We have an election ongoing. We have started collecting candidate forms. We do have a couple that have come in. The deadline for getting them in is the 17th. So it's the end of the week. Please consider serving on the board. It's important that we have involvement from our community. I know that it's been eye-opening for me, and I think for pretty much everybody else up here. And it feels good to feel like you're really sort of giving back, contributing something to the community. If nothing else, then keeping an eye on the finances, because that's a pretty big deal. The other thing that I had that I really wanted to bring up, I'm going to ask Amy to address this. We are working on a new website. Our website is not particularly up to date or user friendly. Amy and Jerry have been working together on getting a new website going, and Amy's going to tell us what kind of progress we're making.
Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you all for coming. It's nice to see everybody here tonight. And if you're watching on TV, hi. Yeah, this Board of Trustees has promised initially and is ongoing doing things to modernize Concordia, bring it into the 20th century, 21st century, hopefully. And one of those things is that we felt we desperately needed a website. If you Google Concordia, a website comes up that's owned by a real estate agent. It is not ours. So Jerry and I have been working on creating a beautiful, brand new website. I'm reading from my notes so that I don't forget anything. This site is going to be a place to show off our community to the outside world. We are an award-winning community, and we want the world to see it. It's also going to be a great place, a one-stop shopping place for all residents. You can do everything that you would do on Connect, on Neighbor, on this one website. It'll also have a link to our YouTube channel. It'll have a searchable resident directory that you can opt in or out of. There are some people, I guess, who don't want to be in a directory, but it'll be searchable. You will be able to find all upcoming events, all forms, all documents. If you need to see a copy of rules and regulations, it'll all be on there for you. And that's just a few of the features. I mean, we've been working on this now for quite a while, and there's quite a bit going into it. And we hope that you're going to love it, and that you'll use it. As soon as we launch, we'll let you all know. But in relationship to that, we want to let you know that on the 20th, which is Tuesday the 20th?
Yes.
Tuesday the 20th.
Yep.
We are having a professional photographer come in to take photographs all around Concordia, in the clubhouse and outside of the clubhouse. And there will possibly be a drone, so taking overhead shots. So if you see a drone, don't call the police. Don't freak out. It's just our photographer taking pictures for the website. And look forward to letting you all see it. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. And thank you, Jerry, for the work you've put into this. Appreciate it. We have a landscaping update now from Ryan from American Lawn. Go.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Thank you to the board for having me this evening. I would just like to throw out a quick landscape update. We are in our second full month of our weekly mowing. This is actually our 6th full week of mowing. Our spring ops schedule is complete as far as spring cleanup, bed edging, and mulching the areas that we're going to mulch this year. This year is a mulch year of just entrances, and the full site will be done in 2026 as per the contract. Our summer annual flowers, they were delivered from the nursery to our office today. And with the inclement weather that we're having this week, not being able to mow with this rain that we're having, we would like to take that opportunity to get as many flowers in the ground towards the end of this week as possible. Let's see here. So I would say by the end of this week or the beginning of early next week, we should have all your annual flowers in the ground. Our site-wide pruning, which takes, as you guys know, several months to complete. We will be starting that the week of May 26th. And typically our first round of pruning, we will be doing all of the shrub species that are not flowering. If there are any specific requests that do include flowering shrubs, we can work that out with management on a case-by-case basis. But we do want to try to limit the pruning on flowering species to not have an adverse effect on their health. Other than that, the sprinklers they are scheduled to be up and running by Memorial Day. We're around 75% through the whole system, and we'll be on a regular schedule by the end of next week. And that is the landscape update, but I would like to touch base on something that happened here a few weeks ago. We did have scheduled our first turf application of the season. And there, for lack of a better term, there was a mishap. And that falls completely on my shoulders. I'm the senior client representative, and I take full responsibility for anything that went wrong over those 2 days. But what I can assure you is that there were some assumptions made on my part as a manager, which I was not 100% informed on, and I made an assumption, and it turned out to, be a negative experience for the community. So I just did want to assure the community that we have steps in place for the next application so that this does not happen again. And I just want to, so what happened was the first thing was we got the dates wrong on the posting. The date was posted as a day later than the actual application. And I was not informed that certain areas were done on day one, certain areas were done on day two. And that was my fault for not knowing that information. This is my first year on the property, and I didn't take the proper steps to have communication with our vendor and know the full scope, and I take full responsibility for it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Still going?
And no, I just wanted to make sure that you guys know that we're taking steps to correct the situation in any future applications.
Ryan's going to hang if you're okay. He's going to hang till the end of the meeting. There's just a few more points we'd like to get through for Q&A. And like I said, he'll stay. He'll answer any questions that are related to landscaping. Certainly, I'll answer the rest. But thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Okay, financial report, Diana?
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming out or tuning in, whichever you're doing tonight. Normally, before I go over financial reports, I address questions that may have arose at the prior month that I had to get answers for. When I went back and reviewed last month's meeting, I was happy to see that Mohammed and Sam were able to answer all of your questions. They did a great job, so there was nothing left we had to do research on. There was one request that was that we add our budgeted amounts to the reserve income statement. If you look at the March statement, that has been done. So now we can just go on to our March financials, which is the end of our first quarter. So our total operating cash is at 771,000. Our discretionary cash is at 444,000, and our reserve is at 1.6 million, giving us a total cash of 2,856,000. Our accounts receivable are at 107,000. Just for your information, last year at this time, our accounts receivable was at 185,000. So between Sharon and our attorney, that number is coming down substantially. I'm hoping in another month or two it'll be even lower. We had, where am I? Our year-to-date resales are much lower than last year at this time, probably given the interest rates, but I don't know. We have 18 year-to-date. Last year at this time, we had 38.
Interest rates were at record lows.
Right. We only had 5 recorded sales in March, but from what I understand, April was a very good month. So we'll pick up some more then. Turning to our income statement. This is the end of our first quarter, I'm sorry. And I'm just highlighting some of the numbers. Our gross operating income, we were budgeted to have 2,815,000. We have 2,868,000, a surplus of 53,000. Our grounds maintenance, we were budgeted to have spent 806,000. I'm sorry, we were budgeted to spend 473,000. We spent 806,000. 361,000 of that was snow removal. Don't panic, I see it on the look on your face already. Moving on. Our building maintenance, we had budgeted to spend 141,000. We've only spent 65,000. So there's a few extra bucks to cover our snow removal. Our management services, we budgeted 357,000. We've spent 318,000. I hope you're all following this trend. We're under budget so far in everything except for that snow. Our general expenses, we budgeted 944,000. We're at 685,000. Again, we're down. Our clubhouse operations, We budgeted 113,000, we're at 82,000. So our total operating expenses for the first quarter, we had budgeted 2,239,000. We've spent 2,174,000. So we are under budget by 64,000. And that includes that 360,000 we had to spend on snow removal. So we're okay in that respect. Our capital reserves. We added to this sheet how much we budgeted for specific line items. And you can't look, so where we budgeted 1,600,000 for roofs, you can't, it doesn't get spent by month or by quarter. These are numbers we really just have to look at towards the end of the year. Right now, if we just looked at this, our year-to-date budget is 681,000 and we've spent 403,000. But when I read these numbers next month, it could be the complete opposite, because May, June, July, April, May, June, July, those are busy months for putting on roofs. So we'll have heavy expense and doing sidings and sidewalk repair. Most of this work happens in the summer, but when you budget, it gets spread out over the whole 12 months. So we have the numbers there, everybody can follow them. But at the end of the first quarter, between our, well, we're ahead. Was it 104,000? We are $102,000 under budget for our first quarter. So far, we're in very good shape. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to Mike and his staff for keeping those costs under control. They really work hard at doing that. Speaking of Mike, you're up.
Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Thank you to the board as well for entrusting us with this mission. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. I'm full of thanks today. It's been a very, very thankful time in my home and here at work. I'm just feeling very appreciative and thankful. I did want to bring a couple of quick items to your attention. Maintenance building has been reopened to walk-in service. Need no appointment from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday. Be free to walk in, meet Donna Richards, explain to her what you have going on. She'll enter the appropriate work orders for you. If you have work orders in place, you'd like an update, feel free to check in with her. Outside of those hours, the office is still operating. They're there till between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. The last person will punch out. However, there's a lot of office administration that has to go on, so it's very tough for us to have the facility open for the entirety of the 8 hours that the staff is there. However, we will continue to review the hours that are available for walk-in. In addition to that, you're always able to call in. You're able to enter your own work orders via email, or you can email Donna or myself, and we'll find a path to get your work order created. If it's the evening or weekend, you can call our customer care line. It's a 24-hour number, and they can enter a work order for you. So there's always an opportunity to get your work requested. I would like to note, excuse me, that there will be no voicemail on the maintenance telephone. The idea of people leaving a message about a work order and then calling back or following up, it inundates the administrators with a little bit too much busy work, and it's really not meaningful. So if it's after hours, please either enter an email, enter it yourself on the website, or call it into the 800 number and have somebody on our customer care staff enter it for you. It's just as effective as it's more effective than leaving a voicemail, quite frankly, but it also streamlines our efficiency in turning around the service on these work orders. So that's open and effective immediately. Feel free to stop in there tomorrow or as you need to. The dryer vent and fireplace chimney cleaning initiative is ongoing. This is an odd year, 2025. So that's ongoing through September. The notice was circulated, and you will continue to see reminders coming out of our office towards this. Please do your part and cooperate and get this forms into our office so we can check you off as completed. I will echo Ryan's reminder about no mulch. I told you I do this every meeting. There will be no mulch placed in the unit owners' garden beds for this season. That is pretty much the extent of my management report for this meeting. If you're okay, Madam President, I'd like to go right into our rules and regulations.
Yes.
Talking point. Thank you. So at prior executive sessions, the rules and regulations are often looked at by the Board of Trustees, and as needed, adjustments are made to these rules. To be compliant, we will ratify them in an open session to record them in the minutes. So in the back of the room was an agenda. On the flip side of that agenda, for all of you to read along, is a copy of the rules and regulations that were either changed, added, or removed. So I will briefly but succinctly read through this to enter into the record. The rules changes are as follows. Rule 201.1, the fine has been changed to $10 per day in accordance with the bylaws. Rule 201.1 subsection F, exterior lighting is limited to white or amber, has been removed. Section 210.3, the color of carpet on upper level decks has been removed. Previously, there were specific colors either approved or disapproved. Section 235.2, all railings must be of aluminum, black or white finish, and the type and style as required by the ARAC. This has been changed from per the Board of Trustees. Rule 501, snow removal has been changed from a 3-inch to a 2-inch standard.
Sorry.
Excuse me, sorry, changed to 3-inch from 2-inch. Sorry, I said it backwards. Forgive me. That's important. Thank you for correcting me. Correct. Yes. Rule 700.4 is changed to reflect that non-alcoholic beverages are permitted in the clubhouse. Rule 700.5 has been changed back to the original language, which is no vulgar, obscene, or offensive language within the clubhouse or on the clubhouse grounds is permitted. Rule 1000.6 has been changed to reflect 2 p.m. for trash to be permitted to be put curbside the day before pickups. And a new rule that is being added is Rule 700 under Club Concordia Clubhouse. All new purchases of a unit within the association shall contribute a clubhouse fee equal to 1 month of association dues for that unit to cover the expenses for the establishment of the new unit owner or residents on the online system, on the on-site system, the initial barcodes and access card data entry, preparation and issuance and establishment of the unit owner's file. This is a new rule. It applies only to purchasers, and it is retroactive to January 1st of 2025. For the purposes of ratification, if there are any questions from the board, please ask now. Otherwise, a motion to approve would be appropriate.
At the end. Yeah, let's hold questions to the end.
He asked from the board.
Yeah, he meant from the board.
I make a motion to approve these changes.
Thank you, Diana. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Sharon? Sharon Falco, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All rules as read will be ratified and added to the record and reflected in the meeting minutes for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have any committee updates? Amy, yes?
I just want to let everybody know that the Health Committee is going to be running their annual health fair. It will be held on June 3rd, and we hope you can all attend. Watch for more information coming out.
Thanks, Amy. Sue?
Yes. Just a couple words. Again, I'd like to thank all the folks that work on the newspaper. They've been doing a great job. I hope you all enjoy the new format. And each month it gets better and better. So really appreciate the work that Paula and her committee does. Also, I get to tell you the fun stuff. Let's see. The tickets for the Beach Boys go on sale May 14th in room 1. They're going to try a different procedure, so hopefully it'll be a little easier with the ticket sales. Memorial Day will have, starting at 12:45, the veterans group will lead us and present colors, and then the rest will follow with our own Concordia chords. So it'll be a nice ceremony with, oh yes, we will have food trucks on site from 1 to 5, and they accept cash and credit card. The next Broadway trip is going to be to the Outsiders on 7/23. The tickets are $175 a person, including the ticket to the show, round trip bus, and gratuity. There's a 2-ticket limit per person. Tickets go on sale the end of the month, and John will be sending out more information about that. We still have tickets left for Austin City Nights. The show is at the end of the month, May 31st. It's classic rock and country, and there'll be table seating so that if people want to dance, there's room to dance as well. You can bring your own food and beverages and have a good time. John's working on a Flag Day ceremony right now. He'll let us know once he settles that all up with the vets. There's another show coming up, Real Diamond, on June 14th. That's 8 o'clock. The tickets are limited, so you can still try to get them, but a lot of them have already sold out. We are working on having online ticketing, and we're almost ready. There's going to be a lot of information we'll have to disperse to the community and how to understand how that will work. But just hang in there. Again, like Amy said, we're trying to get us up into the new century here. So John will be putting information out about that as well. Just a couple more things, a pool party on July 4th. And the Tenors, the Jersey Tenors will be in August, Honky Tonk Chicks in September. And so, you can find everything on Neighbor, and we send out emails to let you know what's coming up. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Sharon, you had something?
Yes, mine is very short. This coming Sunday, we have coffee and conversation where all our new residents will be greeted by our old residents, and they will again hear all the wonderful things that they have to look forward to in this clubhouse and outside the clubhouse. We're looking forward to seeing everyone, and I hope some of you can join us and have a cup of coffee and a nice black and white cookie. They disappeared on me last time. I was so busy running around. I want to say yesterday we had a wonderful trip to Wind Creek. I came back with a little money, so I'm ready to go again as soon as I can get John to get the bus. But please, if you have a few minutes on Sunday, 12:30, right in this room, we'd love to see you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, WCOC, just a quick update. As I've mentioned at previous meetings, we're looking to bring the technology up to the 21st century. We've got one vendor who has submitted a proposal to upgrade the equipment that we have in the back. Trying to find at least one more, hopefully two, to compare so that we have some competitive understanding of what the costs are going to be. In the meantime, we're continuing to keep the system running. It's had a couple of hiccups here and there. I know we've got a new computer in there to try and stabilize some of the showings. So I think we're going to be moving forward with upgrading the equipment as soon as we can get the right company involved and the right costs. Thank you.
Thanks, Chad. Mike, you had something
Thank
else?
you, Emily.
Yes, real quick, folks, just an administrative note. We have hired a new lifestyle administrator. Her name is Emily Mundy. She began on April 21st. She works under the lifestyle department, so she works kind of with John in the administration of these events, but you may see a new face and you certainly may correspond with the new staff member. But we welcome her and we look forward to what she will help add to our lifestyle program here at Concordia. Just wanted to make that note. Thank you.
Thank you. Just one more thing before I ask for a motion to adjourn. Since I will not be at the open board meeting next month, I have a trip that week, so I'll be out of town. And it's possible that the following months, there'll be new people sitting up here since we have an election. So I want to say thank you to my colleagues on this board. You guys have been amazing. It's just, I may cry. It's been great working with all of you. We had some upheaval. We had some, it could have gotten difficult and it didn't. We all pulled together and I honestly think for the most part, most people think we did kind of okay. So thanks everybody. You are very appreciated, as are you and the rest of the staff, Michael. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Guess who's going to second that motion? Who'll second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll open up now to questions from the community. Please, one question at a time. If you have more than one question to ask, please, let's be respectful of our neighbors and ask your question, then go back to the end of the line and come back up again afterwards. We would really appreciate that.
Yeah, you have to pick it up.
If you'd be so kind, just give your name and your address would be very helpful. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hamanshi McCann. I'm from 40 Ethan Allen Drive. Just a few things. I have here, like when I moved here to Concordia, when I moved here about 3 years ago, I think, or maybe 4, I had found something on the website and I find it very helpful. It's like and I'll give you this copy, that it tells me everything, what is my responsibility and what is board's. However, I don't see this on our website anymore. So I have here an example, which I will leave it with you. And if you could do it, of course, my copy is my unit, but if we could post it, it'll help everybody.
Sure.
But sometimes when I talk to the neighbors and they'll be like,
Mhm.
and I'm like, well, I have this paper,
It's a very good point, not to interrupt you, it's a very good point. It was, a decision was made prior administration to this current seated board to remove them. We disagree with that logic. So I've actually tasked facilities director with confirming all of the data and having them up. They'll be all, for every model, they'll be posted before the end of this month, back for all of you to find. In addition to that, we'll be adding that to the resale package. So every prospective purchaser will get to see exactly what their responsibilities are in the contemplation of their purchase of their unit. We think that's critical for people to understand what they're buying into. It's a great comment. Thank you.
Yes, and you're right. It is a great thing because, I call it, when I moved in and then I found out that our home's roof, like mine is a single unit, that roof, siding, all that is Concordia responsibility. So it's like when I'm going to sell my house and somebody says, how old is the roof? I don't have to worry about it, So to me, it's a plus feature.
We agree.
Okay, well, that wasn't like a question, it was something else I thought of, like about, we are going on to new website, which is a great idea. If we could add something, and it's just a suggestion, for security to see that instead of us calling, if we put on the website, add the name of the guest and everything, it'll help because previous security company had a website and I found it very helpful. I would just go in and add name of the guest, or sometimes if a guest is staying for more than a week or so, their name. So when they come to the gate, they don't have to call me. It just happens. And they're very courteous. I like our security, but it's just a suggestion. If we could have something like that, it'll be improvement.
It will be on the new website.
Perfect.
It will. And in the meantime, you can go on to Connect
Bingo.
and do it there. You can
Oh,
enter
okay.
names in Connect for
Uh-huh.
security.
Okay.
So all of you have access to Connect.
Mhm.
In Connect, there's a module to add guests. It was previously disabled. It is now active and working. More importantly, the security guardhouse has a direct login now, so they're able to log into Connect and see all the guest lists. They're actually completing, we provided them with a bunch of training for this, so they knew how to operate the software platform. That should be fully online probably by the end of this week. This has been the last 3 weeks. We've heard this, you're not the first that's brought this suggestion here. The trouble we were having was trying to incorporate the guest list that they were maintaining their own database. The two don't speak to each other, so we had to figure out how to make that happen. We've decided to create the view-only access for them into our database, which you can all populate directly. So we feel that's not only is it a more efficient way to do it, but it solves the problem. So you're able to directly control your own guests' admittance to the system.
Great. You guys are 2 steps ahead of me.
We try and stay 1 step. 2 steps is very, very complimentary. I'll accept 1 step under protest.
Well, thank you. Do you
welcome.
want this list, like one?
You can drop it with me. I'll certainly take it from you, but I've got them. I promise you, the 17 different ones, I've got them all.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
Well, thank you very much.
My
And,
pleasure.
regarding the snow, hey, I was pleased because the way wind blows, my house had more snow than I think all the neighbors. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Redwood for Ethan Allen. The first issue I'd like to address this evening, I watched the meeting last month on Channel 26. What parts I could watch, some of it was, there was no sound or something. And I heard Paul reference the fact that FSR received $131,000 as part of a revenue share under our Comcast agreement. And I'd like for the board to please explain to the community how that came about, because our contract with FSR does not stipulate that we have a revenue share unless it's part of a closing on a home sale. So Christine, Diana, maybe you guys can help explain why that came about.
I can, and I apologize. I have to go back to my phone. So somebody had emailed that exact question to me and I answered them and I meant to print it out, said I could bring it here and read it to everybody. So if you just give me 1 minute so I can find that statement. Did you have another question too? I can come back
I
to
can
this
go to
one.
landscaping if you want me to. do
Okay, well, I find this, okay, rather
Okay.
than make everybody just sit here.
that. Thank you for your comments, Ryan. It wasn't, the concern for me wasn't just the mix-up of days, okay? So I had walked my dog the 23rd, and by the time we had walked partway around the street and I saw the True Green trucks, he had already walked on the grass. One of those products, Escalade, says on their own website, dangerous, bold letters, dangerous to a dog if walked on wet. So that's a serious safety issue. Those of us who opt out, we get orange stakes in the past. So they do all 4 corners. The problem with my property is, and I was home, but I couldn't get out fast enough. The machine came behind my house. So they didn't know what address it was, up the side and over the front. And not to mention the fact that it was spraying in the garden beds. So I lost over $100 worth of plants because of the herbicide went into my garden bed. I sent my pictures. Also, there was quite a bit of it spilled in the street. All 4 of those products say that they cannot get into the sewer system because if they do, or the water treatment system, if they do, it's toxic to plants, which is even more dangerous to us in this community because when it goes into our storm sewers, it goes to the ponds and the golf course, which then gets irrigated back into the lawns. So is that another exposure point for our pets and for us because it's now wet again and coming back onto our properties? So yeah, the date got mixed up, but there also seems to be some confusion. If people have white flags, that means no service in the garden bed at all. And I had them coming through last fall. Again, I sent Mike a note. They were blowing leaves out of garden beds. Well, those of us who put down our own mulch, the mulch gets blown out too. So they need to know no service with the white flags, and they need to be able to have the orange stakes out so that no matter what direction these machines are coming from, they're aware of the address. It's not that they're looking at the address on the street.
Correct.
And it's something that, and we've developed, this started 6 years ago. We wanted to have organic products. They're too expensive. So the best thing we can do for people is to give them a chance to opt out and to protect themselves and their pets, which is why we do half the community one day and half the next. Other people have said they've called to get on the opt-out list and were told unless they got their name in by February, they can't be on it. That notice never came out to the community to say that. So that's another thing we need to address.
Can I say something about that, please? I think that I just want to say, Nancy, I have been beating up the landscapers this week about the same issue. And I just want you to know that this is why having dog parks, dog runs are so important to this community, so that there is a safe place to take our dogs that will never, ever, ever be treated that we can feel good about. So I understand, because I felt the same way. The same thing happened in my area. And I just wanted to let you know that
Well, I
we're
understand,
addressing.
but I don't agree with the dog park part, and I have a dog. I wouldn't let my dog in a dog park. There's been too many instances at Thompson Parks where dogs have gotten in fights and their dogs have been seriously injured. And I don't know that the community was even surveyed to ask how many people want this dog park, but that's another topic, so.
And if I may just comment on the staking out of the actual lawns that are on the opt-out list. I was unaware that it was done with stakes. I learned this throughout the whole process. This is my first year on the site, and we do have a plan going forward where your next scheduled application is going to be sometime in mid to late June. So we are going to take steps a week prior to any application to properly stake out with the orange snow stakes, as many as we need to indicate that and especially on the end unit or a corner unit where the property is a different shape than someone in the middle of the street. So we are going to take every step necessary to make sure that this is all delineated. And I also am going to take it a step further, even though that the folks from True Green have been on site for a longer period than I have. They know the properties on the opt-out list more than myself, but I want to just go through every individual home that's on the list and make sure that it's
They need to
done.
make sure that when they're spraying it, it's contained to the lawn beds.
Correct.
And in the past, if it got in the street, they'd use blowers to make sure they blew it off the street. They did not do that this time.
Right.
So any hard surface, when it rains, it's going to rain and go into the storm sewer system. So that's plus the instructions this time did not tell people what was the safe time to access the lawn. So you know, I had to call manufacturers to find out that yes, it's 24 hours or yes, it's when it's dry. People don't know that unless they're given that information, and that's pretty important too.
Understood. And I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Okay, I did find it. And again, I apologize. I meant to bring it tonight to
That's
read
okay.
it in part of my opening statement. So getting back to the Comcast, we originally tasked Mike Camberg with renewing the Comcast contract. We asked that they maybe upgrade their service to include a second box or an additional, or the modem or additional channels. We wanted to get something to renew the increase. They were not interested and only wanted to keep the service the same, but apply the 5% increase. We then asked Mike if FSR may have some pull with them, since they manage hundreds or thousands of properties nationwide. FSR went outside the scope of our contract with them, our contract with FSR. They went to Xfinity. Sorry, I lost my place here. They went outside with a cost-benefit analysis to consider expanding the services rendered to our bulk agreement to include internet service along with the TV. After discussions and agreement with the board, FSR began negotiations with Comcast. Comcast offered a $300 sign-up bonus for every door if FSR could consummate the transaction between the provider and the HOA. It doesn't necessarily have to be our HOA, but so they were offering FSR $300 sign-up bonus. FSR offered us 75% of this. We thought, as the board, we thought that was a nice deal. It gave us an extra $395,000 that we were able to apply right to our reserves. We accepted this agreement. We signed the contract with Xfinity. So yes, FSR did get paid, but we look at it as they shared what they were offered with us. Not that we paid them extra.
But according to the contract we have with FSR, that's their job to negotiate the contracts for us.
Their job was to negotiate they did try, Mike did try to negotiate that contract. Comcast wanted to do nothing for us. So FSR globally, is that the word I should be looking for?
Yes, our corporate.
Their corporate entity, not our manager here, their corporate entity. So they were negotiating with the utility, probably on behalf of all of their communities.
No, because I understand Whittingham did not get anything like this. So why wouldn't it have been the same if they were negotiating on behalf of everybody?
They can now offer it to their other communities.
Still doesn't make sense, but okay. All right, thank you.
Well, Nancy, I understand that a similar deal, and this, I was told this by, that a similar deal was offered to the board a few years ago and the board turned it down.
I don't know anything about that. But did they tell you that it was device dependent to get the internet? Because I can't get it because I don't have a new device, and I know plenty of other people that don't have it because they don't have a newer device. And the
The
Comcast,
modem's included.
I understand the modem, it's the device that you have. That whether it's your computer, if it's iPad or an iPhone, if it's not the latest model, it cannot accept the faster internet speed. And I had 2 Comcast agents at my house who told me, this is what this community requested. Whether this came to the board previous, it didn't come when I was around. I didn't know anything about that. But it is device dependent. So there are some people that are unable to benefit from a higher speed internet that they are paying for.
We have
Let me-
not,
let me-
we're not aware of any, go ahead, Chad.
If I could, your comment about device dependent, it's true. If you have a device that is too old to know how to talk Wi-Fi, you don't get any benefit. You'd have to plug it in, but you're still getting the gigabit, even though you're not using the Wi-Fi for anything you plug in using the Ethernet cable. So, it's your device that won't accept the speed. It's not the system that's
Well, I understand that, but the residents were
providing it,
told
so-
that, right? So this contract was put in place for everyone and not
Yes.
everyone can benefit from it.
Well,
Everyone has benefit.
Well,
I
why
have-
not? But others have. I have, others.
That's true. And people who don't have a computer won't benefit from it either. You're right. Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carol Lipper. My husband and I live on 6A Patrick Henry Court. We are right off of Martin Van Buren. And I have in the past left suggestions, notes, and phone calls regarding the fact that the main road, Van Buren, has become almost a raceway. We are having a huge problem. We have a golf course on that block. It's a very long block, as you all know. We have 3 or 4 residents that walk all the time with walkers, gentlemen that are out there walking. We have people with dogs. And last week, I'm quite lucky, the sun was coming out about 5 o'clock and people were flying up. They couldn't see the sun. They couldn't see us walking, and I almost got killed. I had to jump onto the lawn. And the woman, when she realized what happened, burst into tears. She said, I didn't see anyone. And she says, I always come up here like, 40 miles an hour. All I'm asking is put a slow down sign, put something, golf crossing. You do it if there are reindeer, they put a crossing sign. Something needs to be done. Somebody is absolutely going to get hurt. And I have other people in the room who also live off of Martin Van Buren, who also are very definitely aware of it also. So what do you guys think?
So if I may, so Carol, I received your suggestion last week. Thank you, by the way. It's a good opportunity for me to acknowledge to the community that we will be beginning some roadway crack filling and driveway seal coating. And the vendors that do that are also going to help us to identify where we can add some lane crossing markings, add some additional traffic control markings. they're not the vendor that would necessarily place signage for us, but part and parcel to that would be to identify any areas of opportunity to increase signage. But the other thing we're looking at is the potential introduction of speed control. So that may be speed bumps, that may be what they call speed tables. There are lots of different ways to do this. I don't profess to be an expert on it. However, the road and asphalt crews that do this type of work will introduce some different options. We'll present to the board and we'll try and see how to create some effective speed controls. We do have some operational concerns when it comes to snow clearing, road clearing, so on and so forth. We want to make sure we're not creating a hindrance to that or an adverse condition. We have to be
Right.
mindful that the solution needs to be 12 months of the year or be able to be seasonal. So one or the other. So we're looking at it, but we're aware of this. It's not just located or isolated to your area.
Yeah.
There are little hot spots throughout the community where people seem to think they're gonna get paid for going faster. There's no-
I appreciate that. When Cy and I lived in West Orange and he was on the board, we had the same problems. They put something down that was removable. You're familiar with it.
We are. The other concern for those is just how they affix and what kind of impact that has to the roadway. We don't want to create something that's going to accelerate damage or
Okay,
wear and tear, but there needs to be something.
great.
And look, personal responsibility is still a thing. So someone who can't necessarily see well with the sun blinding them decides to go 40.
I know.
There's a level of personal responsibility in this.
I know.
As much as we would love to protect all of you from vehicular traffic, it's up to the driver. The driver has a responsibility not to.
Mike, it is up to them. However, if something says to them, slow down, or 15 miles or whatever, they're going to at least maybe pay attention to
You
it.
make a point. I don't disagree.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Carol.
Corinne Edelbaum, 6B Dorchester Drive. Corinne Edelbaum, 6B Dorchester Drive. I just got back from Florida. Before I left for Florida, last year when I came back, there were 2 dead bushes right in front of my house. I told Mike about it. I reported it. They told me they'll take care of it. Before I left for Florida, Mike said, all the shrubs are being taken care of before the end of the year. Well, I just got back this past week, and those same 2 dead bushes are still in front of my house. When you drive up, that's the first thing you see, the 2 dead bushes. I would like them removed and replaced with something that looks decent. Mike?
So I'm watching the landscaper next to me note this address. Shrub removal, I don't foresee that being an issue. If they're still there, obviously they didn't get taken out, forgive me. There is no budget for replanting, however, this year. So they will get removed.
They told me that last year, that they'll remove it, but they won't replant it until this year.
There was no budget for replanting either last year.
They haven't removed them yet, and so this is already going on 2 years.
I can see to an expedited removal. However, I do not have any budget for replanting of shrubs, but I can get them removed for sure.
How about from the last year's budget?
There
that
was
they told me
no
was going to
replanting budget in 24 either.
Well, they look horrible, the 2 dead bushes.
We'll get them out for sure.
Okay,
That I can promise you.
thank you.
Okay. By the end of the week, I'm told, Corinne, thank you.
Paul Rosenheim, 29 Martin Van Buren. I'd like to follow up on Nancy's questions with regard to the FSR contract and cable payments. Our contract with FSR very clearly states what the compensation is, which is $125,000 a year, plus the share on closing costs and things like that. Nowhere in the contract does it state that FSR will receive any monies for negotiating additional contracts. As a matter of fact, the contract states solicit, negotiate, and make payments with respect to existing contracts, including without limitation, contracts for water, electricity, gas, etc., and those pertaining to such other goods and services required for the associations and/or property's operation and performance. The cable contract definitely falls under that category. I still don't see why And it sounds like FSR signed a contract with Comcast. Is that correct? Well, that's what it was implied, talking about getting $300 a house for every unit that was signed up. So was there any contract signed between FSR and Comcast?
As related to Concordia, no, sir.
Okay.
No, the contract between the utility company and the HOA is exclusive between the utility company and the HOA.
So then why did FSR get any money for doing this? Their job is to negotiate contracts. If they have a better way and they can use their influence to get better things, that should fall all under our contract with FSR. And instead, FSR is getting 25%, $131,000. Yes, it was a good deal, but when you have a management company, that's what you expect the management company to do, to get better deals. And now, is this going to set a precedent within Concordia that if they can negotiate a better deal, they're going to get more money from it?
No.
Then why did they get it this time?
Yes, so again, the agreement was expiring. The board had exercised, and I believe internally had sought to seek a renewal themselves first, got nowhere, handed it over to us to gain a renewal. We did. However, the board didn't feel it was strong enough. There was really no consideration other than just a continued escalation period. So they asked us if there was any outside of the box thinking that could be done. And so that's when we went to task. And we did so not for the HOA's benefit directly, but for the unit owner's benefit. And I don't know that that's necessarily captured in our contract. What we did, in fact, is remove the individual cable bill from 87% of the community. That's way outside of the scope of our agreement.
No, that's the part that gets me. Where do you show that it's outside the scope?
Where does it show it's included? Where does it show that we have to negotiate on behalf of the unit
It
owner?
says to existing contracts. You're negotiating a contract between
Right, it
the
didn't exist with the
HOA and
internet.
Comcast.
It's a brand new contract. It did not exist. It did not
between-
inclusive of your internet.
You're negotiating a new contract between HOA and Comcast.
Correct.
That's all part of that's all part of.
Yes,
the
that was done.
management's
That was done
responsibility.
inclusive of the fee that's paid for. The board did not want that deal, Paul. They asked us to do better. We said we can do better, but it's going to require additional lifting. The board agreed to it.
But then the board.
Prior to the funds being even notified, prior to any of it. They agreed to it. And when we did, we presented it. And if you'd like to articulate your comment or your question, I'll be happy to send it up the chain to the executives in the company. It's above my pay grade. I don't know what corporate does or what national does, negotiating with multi-state utility companies. I'm not privy to that. I manage Concordia. I found an opportunity. Did you save money on the cable bill?
Yeah.
How many people save money on their cable bill?
But how much more could we have gotten instead of $131,000 to the community, to FSR?
Paul, we could have stayed with the same old, we would have had a 5% increase, and
Well,
we'd
that-
all still have those big cable bills. And
Well,
we wouldn't have 395,000.
which we're going to have to make up for next year. But now, when do we get the money? When do we get the 395? It's in the budget.
It came in April. You'll see it on your April financials.
Did it come from Comcast? The 395 from Comcast?
No, it came from First Service Residential.
So Comcast, okay, so you're saying Comcast paid FSR?
The door fee, that's what Diana just said.
I
And-
said that in my statement. And FSR gave us 75% of the fee that Comcast gave them. We won on this, Paul.
I realize
We won big
we-
time. And this is,
we
Paul, this
could
has
have
been
won
asked
more.
and answered, and now we're beating a dead horse. There are a lot of people waiting to ask questions.
I'll ask more questions afterwards.
We had $6 million in our capital reserve when he was on the board.
Hello, can you hear me? Adele Olson, 5E Cambridge Drive. I have a question.
I'm sorry.
501, snow removal. Why has it been changed from 2 inches to 3? I'm concerned because my unit is a Hampton 2. When the driveway is cleared, it's meaningless to
So-
me unless I can get to the garage. I have
So-
no entrance to the garage through the house. Furthermore, I have a walkway. And then I have a front door without any coverage or protection. So in the past, I could do my shoveling. I can no longer shovel.
So, couple quick notes. Number one, this changed at least 2 years ago. They're just updating the rules now. But what it refers to is the contracted default rate at which the snow vendor will come out without requiring additional approval from the HOA. That's all it was meant to do, was increase the threshold. So what we were finding, the HOA was finding that at 2 inches, the snow vendor could automatically go out, start the snow cleaning process, and we were contractually obligated to pay for that. In some cases, it may have been a little bit more than needed. So the decision was made by the board and the contractor to agree to increase that to 3 inch. And all that means is that's when they're contractually obligated to arrive without authorization from 0 up to 2.9 on inches. They still can come out, but they get the direction from the board and management.
By the way, it was exemplary last winter.
Well, that's very nice to hear. Thank
It
you.
was exceptional.
So to that point,
Thank
the
you.
actual didn't change. We're just actually doing a little bit of housekeeping to update the document to reflect the actual.
I am glad that I am reassured. Thank you.
I'm actually glad that you told me it was good last year. I didn't want you to think
It
that
was.
we're going into a different type of relationship. Next year, it will be the same as you have come to expect.
Quick
Thank you.
question. When do you reseed? In spring or fall?
We did a reseeding last fall. We did a certain number of sections. Off the top of my head, I don't have those sections available to me. Yes, but the correct seeding time would be in the fall.
Fall.
That is the most conducive to getting good results.
Thank you.
My name is Marlene Zarnowski. I live at 29 George Washington Drive. And my first thing is, I want a clarification because I was mystified. It says rule change 201.1, $10 fine. Now, I don't want to get fined for something unless I know what it is. And I'm doing it willfully. But what the heck is that?
It used to say there was a $10 fine plus a $15 administrative fee.
For what?
Well, if you, whatever
for-
you may have, for parking on the street, whatever the fine may have been for, it was just an overall, if you were parked on the street overnight, you could get a ticket. It was $10 plus a $15 admin fee. We found out we shouldn't have been charging the $15 admin fee. This rule was changed over a year ago. It just didn't, we just updated the book. If you had your garbage out on a day when garbage isn't collected, you maybe would get a ticket. Your ticket would say $10 plus 15 for 25. Now it's just the $10.
Would that be if they were supposed to come on Monday and they didn't come on Monday?
No.
And it's still out on Tuesday?
No,
See,
no,
that-
this is if you forget to bring your pail in on Tuesday and it's still out there on Wednesday.
Oh, So
You
I
might
just
get a
got
ticket.
lazy. Okay, okay. Is there going to be a list of like these little rules? Because I'm on a
They are.
lot of
They're in the
this.
rule book.
Yeah, so
How do
that's what I was
get a
going to
copy
say.
of the rule book?
You can get one at the concierge. It's
Really?
also
You got
online, but
one?
you can get one at the concierge.
Okay,
Yes.
very good, because I'd certainly like to know what the rules are. Now, my question, this thing about the weed killer, very upsetting to me that people, I know there's always cost involved in everything, but there are less expensive ways of doing things that are not so unhealthy. And all of us, especially if we're putting this stuff in the system again, it's going to come into the ponds and get watered all over the grass all over again. That's crazy. I think somebody's going to have to investigate how to do this in a better way that is, I don't know, organic or whatever, somehow, so that we don't have this place full of pesticides. This would make us a really wonderful community that could shine among all the other senior communities in this area if we were the ones that had the non-poisonous lawn care. And it would be a wonderful selling point for most of us. So I think there should be some way. You have a green team. What's the green team for? Get them to investigate this and take their information seriously. Don't just say they're a bunch of people who are just hanging around telling you to recycle. I mean, they know this stuff. Use their expertise. And I know that it makes, sometimes it costs more. Maybe we need a fundraiser. I don't know. What's the difference in the cost? Is it hundreds of thousands of dollars? You know, is it 50,000, 20,000? If if everybody contributes $10, could make a difference. You know, I want to know all this stuff. And I'm challenging you guys to tell me this.
If I may comment, the organic options that you're speaking of, they are actually quite more expensive. They have been researched, they have been brought to the attention of not just here, many of the communities that we service, because it is a real issue. And organics is something that, you know, it can be talked about, but there's a few things that come with the organics that are a negative to an HOA. The one thing is the cost. The cost is quite more expensive than a standard program that you have now. And actually, a standard program, would be 4 applications, and right now Concordia only does 2, being mindful of the amount of product that is being put down on your guys' property every year. The other thing is, with organics, there also has to be a much higher threshold for weeds, because unfortunately, there is no organic weed control. There's only organic fertilizer. And the whole concept behind that is that the stronger your turf is, the less weeds you're gonna have. So the board has already taken steps with us to address poor turf areas and to strengthen them every fall. And that is the best known method to control weeds, is a strong turf. And that is accomplished by aeration and seeding every year. And we understand that it's not, you know, a property the size of this, it's not fiscally sound to aerate and seed.
Well, I would like to see some numbers, and then I'll slink away and say, okay.
Absolutely.
But I really would like to see what the numbers are on this,
That's,
and if there was a way that we could come up with some funds to
understood.
do this.
Okay.
Now, I know one of the things I'd like to use on mine, and I know it's not perfect, is corn gluten. And if that's done before the seeds come out, it does some control. And that's what I've been doing on mine. And I feel a lot safer with my grandchildren, and if I
Understood.
had a dog again, my dog going out there and playing on it.
Understood.
'Cause I know it's not poisonous.
Thank you.
Another thing, just one more thing on that to mention. I know. One of the things that would work, that would save a lot of money and could be used for mulch and other things, is if you grind up all the leaves that fall, especially if there's no poison in the trees and that they've been drinking up, you grind up all those leaves with a mulcher, put those on instead of that poopy stuff that we put on every year. It's much better, and it's much better mulch. It's healthier.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rona Tenenbaum on Martin Van Buren Drive, 8B. I want to defend the Green Committee. I think they're really great. They've only been in doing this for 2 years, so I don't think we can blame them for any problems with the lawns or the sprays. They really have tried to campaign against poisons. The new lifestyle position, is it a new life or is it a replacement for someone?
It was a replacement. Kathleen Everest has resigned a couple months back, the end of
Okay.
February, and this is to replace her.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the things that you're going to do on the driveway, I don't know if my driveway will be paved again this year, but I really wish someone would come over before, because it's not banked right, and it doesn't matter how many times you pave that. It doesn't work well, and we have like a little ice pond in front of the driveway every year in the winter. So if they're going to do it, it'd be nice if they could maybe correct some of the banking or,
Sloping of it?
Hmm?
The sloping of it?
yeah, the sloping of it. Okay. I didn't get sprinklers to work for maybe 2 years already, and I think that that means I won't get that. But I thought I'd check. Are they going to try to do any sprinklers that weren't working the last couple of years?
So I'm not going to speak for the landscaper. I'll hand it off to him in a moment, but the goal every year is to get 100% operational. That's always the goal. It may be a high mark, and prior years it may have been tougher to attain, but I think last year was the closest this community's been in 5 or 6 years. But if you want to, I'll hand it off to Ryan.
Yeah, so with regards to the irrigation system, one of the, how can I put it? One of the issues that we have is that the irrigation system is controlled by the golf course. So if anything happens on the golf course, it affects the entire community. So we try to stay on top of all those issues. It is a very large community, obviously. It's something that takes a lot of time and a lot of manpower to get through.
Mhm.
And right now we're about 75% through, and we intend to be completely up and running over the next 2 weeks. And what's going to happen is it's an irrigation system. Things are going to happen throughout the season, and we're on call to fix any issues that happen. So,
So if I see everybody else's lawn across the street get working, but my side doesn't, should I call someone?
well, yes. And it could be something as simple as you're on a different timer and it's on a different schedule. So but it's something that could be investigated, and a valid answer could be given to you as to why.
Okay, thanks. Let's see. Was it possible that weed killer was put on the flower beds this year? Because I too had some deterioration of some of the flowers coming up.
It's not supposed to happen. So our applications are for turf only. So I couldn't tell you specifically because I haven't seen the plants. It could be something else affecting them. I can't say for sure because I would be making
It's
it.
not all of them. It's like certain one. Maybe they thought it was a weed.
What we could do, well, the beds are not supposed to be sprayed as part of that application. It's just a
Okay.
turf only application. What we will do, meeting with Mike on Thursday, and we're going to look at a few irrigation areas, and we could look at your home as well, and any others that we need to look at.
Okay, thank you. Let's see.
I'm sorry, excuse me, Rona. We do have a lot of people waiting, so if you have more questions, can you let other people have their turn, please? And then come back.
All right, although I waited patiently while people.
I agree.
Long time.
I understand. Thank you.
Take the mic with me then.
Mel Stoyman at 18 John Hancock Drive. I just have a few short ones. One is, I'd like to ask the gentleman with the landscape, when they remove a tree, are they supposed to take the stump out? Because I got a mound with the stump underneath it, and it's been there for 1.5 years or so.
So Mel, the tree removals are not done by the landscaper. They're done by an arborist. It's a separate company, so not this gentleman and not American Lawns or Sprinkler.
Well, I never took it out.
There was a tree removal program, a project that was done a couple years ago. A decision was made at that time. Some stumps were ground, some stumps were flush cut. I can certainly take a look at it and see what it takes, but that was a decision that was made for that tree project.
Because I was thinking if it removes, I'll put another tree in at my expense, if it's permissible and if it's okay with the community. Something small, nothing big, just to fill that gap up. It looks funny.
Valid point. Let me get out and look at the stump, see what's
The
going on.
second thing is for the community. Where I come from, we have a 24/7, all year round, air compressor for the community. So that if somebody comes and it's at night, or if the gas stations are closed, this compressor is on 24/7. And it's a good thing in an emergency for other vehicles around. You know, you pull out, you see your tires down, or you see a little flat, you pull them, get some air. Then maybe the next day or the morning, you could take it to a gas station or something like that. I've used it. It's there 24/7. It's made by Husky. It's not a bad little thing. You can put it over by the maintenance department with a special area where they can pull their car up and do it, like I've done. And my last thing is, same thing with Florida. We had a new system put in. They're holding classes on the new ways to use the remote, how to do a DVR, how to go to the cloud, all of this. I don't know if there is anything. I wasn't here if there was. And I'm going to ask, is it possible to get classes for daytime for who's here, nighttime for the people who work? This way here, Comcast, forget it. With the AI, they should cut it off. But anyway, but at least you could get some knowledge to work the new system. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel.
My name's Lou Silverman. I'm 58A Yorkshire Drive. So I assume that when you have trees that need to be removed, it's done by an outside company. So I have two trees, one that's next to my house, that's between the two houses, and one in my patio that I can't even use because the tree is so overgrown and the branches are on the roof. They've been marked with an X like 3 months ago. So I was wondering how long it takes to get the trees removed.
So the process may seem long. It starts with maintenance going out, marking them as you've seen. We then go out to bid with arborists. Those bids are actually going to the board on the 20th. The board will make a decision on a vendor, and within 2 to 3 weeks beyond that, they'll be removed. So I would say between now and middle to end of June, we'll have them removed.
The gentleman's question, did they remove the stumps or not?
That's what they'll propose. It's what the board's willing to approve budget-wise. It's straight economics, but the proposal will include stump removals.
And when I moved in 2.5 years ago, like the patio ends and the roots from the tree right after the patio are above ground. So if you walk off the patio, you trip on the roots. And I was told that they redid my patio and I thought they were going to remove the roots. So when they removed the tree, did I pull up the roots too?
They will. I'm absolutely aware of your specific location. I've been out there twice to look at it, and the root system is very problematic back there. It's all very shallowed up at the surface. It's systemically an issue. They will grind. They will need to, in that particular case, grind the stump because I can't cure the condition without that. And at that point, however much of that area where the root system is visible should be removed. Yes.
So you think sometime in June possibly? Or?
That feels very reasonable. We'll get the approval out to the contractor right after the 20th, let's say. But I can tell you already separately, any arborist right now is dealing with the rain, the rain the last few weeks and this coming week's forecast. It's very hard for any outdoor contractors to schedule and actually execute a schedule. So we keep seeing it with other seasonal things that keep getting bumped, but it feels appropriate that it'll happen in June. It might happen sooner, but I would be falsely selling you optimism, sir. I don't want to do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Paul Rosenheim, 29 Martin Van Buren. Questions on the financials. Few months ago, I asked a question about the accounts receivable from the township, and I was told I'd have an answer soon. Yet to get an answer. And it seems like we're increasing the accounts receivable by $12,167 each month.
Paul, can I address your first question?
Yeah.
Because I just reviewed today. I reviewed last month's question and answers.
Yeah.
And you did ask that of Mohammed, and he gave you an answer last month. And Mike gave you an answer on that.
No, you haven't
Yes, they
given a
have, but
specific-
they've been going
not
back
a
to the
specific-
town.
Yeah, but when are we getting the answer?
As soon
from
as the town gives us a check.
For what? What is that 12,000? What are we accruing accounts receivable for? I mean, we're getting paid, if you look at the report, we're getting paid for snow, streetlights, and trash. There's another.
Recycling, yes.
Right, recycle. It shows as trash on the report, but it should be recycling, right? But there's another $12,167 that we're increasing our receivable for that we don't seem to be getting paid for. That's
Well,
not,
so I correspond with the woman in the township that does this. She asked me for the information we provided. She asked me for the invoices we provided. She asked me for the cover letter documenting the quarters we're submitting for. We provide it. When they send the check is when we get it. The most recent request they sent to us was first quarter of 2025, which we just sent to them. I don't know when the township's coffers release checks. I don't know that. I just know that we submit to the items to the township representative we deal with for this.
there's also a separate line item on the income statement called township rebate. That's what it says on the report. And it's budgeted $1,667 a month, and we receive no income. What is that township rebate? Because we have separate line items for the snow, street lights, and the trash, which is really recycling.
So let's see. So generally, we would receive for trash, recycling, streetlight reimbursement, snow removal, and road repairs.
Right.
So my guess is the township township rebate would be on the road repairs.
But if that's a 1667, we still got to find out what the 12167 is for. You won't see that. You'll see you look on the balance sheet because it's accounts receivable. The balance sheet shows 12,000, an increase, and it's a balance sheet, so it's not going to show you month by month. But if you look at January, February, and March, you'll see that account is going up by $12,167 a month.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't see what you're referencing.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me just get my copy of the March report. If you go onto balance sheet and you look under 21,150, other current assets, you have the cash on the top of page 2. Underneath that, you have other current assets, accounts receivable, allowance for doubtful accounts, and then AR Township. This month, what's in there is $223,000. You look at the last month, you'll see it's around $211,000. That keeps going up by $12,167 a month. And doesn't seem that we're getting revenue from that. Either that or if we're getting revenue, the corresponding entry to reduce the accounts receivable is not being made.
All right, I'm going to go to Sam on this one and get an answer directly from him.
All righty. The next thing is I was going to ask based on the February financials, because it looked like we had spent close to $1 million on HVAC repair and replacement. However, seeing the March report today, I see that there was probably an adjustment reducing that by $452,900, which brought down the HVAC to to 547 or so. And why was there such a large credit? Was there a mistake made in February in, maybe it was last year's expense? But, all you got to do is look at the 2 months, February and March, and you'll see that in the audit last year, we spent about $535,000 on the HVAC. And then through February, we spent another $435,000, something like that. But then in March, there's a $452,900 credit. Are things not being caught? Was this catching an error?
No, that would be tied to the audit. The bills that came in January, or February, that related to 2024.
But they adjusted that. If you look at, if you go back and look at the 2024 audit,
Which would give
it
you.
was $535,000. And now you had another $452,000 in January. Forget what it was, somewhere around that. You had another over $450,000 charges in January and February. And then in March, there was a reversal of $452,900. So it seems that it went up, it went down.
I'll get an accounting of this from Sam as well.
Okay. Now cable, how come cable is $175,000 under budget as of March? And the budget shows the increase for the internet starting in March, while the board is saying the contract started in April. But you're still $175,000 under budget for cable as of March.
Right, so the billing started in April,
Mhm.
and this month's bill actually came in, increased to reflect the new internet service now included in it.
Right, the April has the new thing,
Right.
but you're still $175,000 under budget. Is that going to continue throughout the year?
So the cable expense was split because you had 3 months on the old contracted rate, and then you have the other 9 months on the new contracted rate. So
Which
those,
is per the budget.
right, so those were blended. I would imagine by the end of the year, you'll have no surplus in the
Okay.
bucket.
Okay, on the security services, I would assume, okay, you want?
Paul, we still have people waiting behind you, okay?
What?
There's still people waiting.
Hi, Donna Fisher, 7 Canterbury Drive. Very quick.
7 what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
7 Canterbury
Thank you.
Drive. Actually, this is pretty quick, and I'm sure I've asked this before, but the first thing is, who is responsible for the street lights? And what do we do when it burns out? I mean, I tried calling maintenance once, and they said something about calling PSE&G.
It's JCP&L. The streetlights are owned by the utility JCP&L.
They said, talk to your condo board. We don't take individual reports.
That's absolutely not true.
So
You can go right to their website, and I'll actually put it out on Neighbor Feed tomorrow. And on there it says report outages. You can give your street address, and you can absolutely report the street light out. In fact, on the pole is an actual number. If you're
Okay.
savvy enough to find the number, it's usually 4 digits. Grab that number, and you can enter that number directly, and it tells them exactly which pole in the community is out.
Okay, because I wondered if maintenance people just drive around at night, not every night, but like maybe
No.
once every 2 months to report any they see, so that it would be a group report, because that was
if it-
what JCP&L had indicated a few years ago. I was in Florida, came home, just discovered my street light is out.
If it was as simple as replacing light bulbs, I'd have a vendor come in and do that. The problem is most of the ones that are out is a wiring issue, and they're not being fed with a suitable electrical feed anymore.
Okay, I just noticed it was out last night because I came home late, and Wingate Court, that corner, and I'm right opposite, really dark. Just one more thing. A couple of years ago, the then board, I've been here about 8 years, had started a Friday, we would get a list of questions in our email that people asked during the week with the responses. And I found that helped me stay much more informed about what was going on in the community. People would have their complaints, people would ask questions, and the board took their time. I don't know if they answered them every single week, but when the answer came, I thought they were pretty well thought out and complete. Any chance we can get that started again? Because, you know, that was very helpful. And I think most people don't come to the meetings. They don't necessarily watch it on TV. And it just keeps everybody, it's a transparency, and it keeps everyone informed. And I personally miss it. So that was my 2 cents for that.
Thank you.
Okay, one thing is, I'm in a carriage house and water seeps in because, I don't know, the foundation or something is not good anymore. And I remember you had come out, Mike, and put one of those orange X's, but it has never been worked on.
In the carriage house, yes?
Yeah. And I think it contributes to that lake that has the water in it in the winter. And I have one other question, and this also, I think when Sylvia Brenner used to be on the board, if you had a question with your bill, and I think it was Comcast, maybe it was Verizon, she would look at it and see if she could help you see if it was appropriate. I'm having a lot of trouble with Comcast, and I don't know if I'm getting credits that I should. Do we have any representative here?
Come see me.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes. And if you'd like, at the end of the meeting, if you can hang, I'll take a copy of it and I'll scan it in and I'll send it to the appropriate party at Comcast to make sure that I understand what you're looking to confirm, make sure the credits that you're expecting are there, and get you an explanation as to why or why not. But yes, I've done this for a few other people. Certainly happy to do it to help you as well.
Marlene Zarnowski, 29 George Washington Drive. I'll try to be brief so nobody yells at me. I'm concerned about the dog park. That's the reason I came here tonight when I heard this rumor that we're talking about building a dog park. And I love dogs. If you walk past my house, I'll ask to pet your dog because I love dogs. But we have a dog park in the county right down the road. And when I had a dog for a while, a couple of years ago, when I could still walk a dog, I would take her there. We were lucky, I guess. We never had any incidents, and she had a great time running. Now she's living with her cousin, so she's happy there. But I use that dog park all the time, and I thought it was a great place. My concern about us building a dog park is, first of all, how much money is it going to cost to clear a big space and fence the area? Because in a dog park, it has to be open. The idea of a dog park is the dogs are off a leash. So they run around and they do whatever they want to do. And that's why you had to have a big area and a small area for big dogs and small dogs, because usually they keep them together. Also, is anybody going to check to see if these dogs have had their shots? If they're licensed, because if you're going to use that area, your dog should be licensed and have their shots. Who's going to check that out? I mean, we years ago, we also in another community, there was a private dog park that we went to, and it's the same thing. You had to qualify. You had to prove that your dog didn't have any past problems with other dogs. My dog did, unfortunately, but it was, you also had to prove that your dog had its shots, had everything else, and was healthy. And then when you brought the dog in, you had so many hours to be in there. And anyway, it was a very nice thing. Again, they were responsible for the dog park, so I felt safe being there. With us as residents, who we basically then, if you build a dog park here, we own the dog park. What kind of insurance policy do we need in case an incident happens? And incidents do happen because it's animals. Also, as I said, who's going to check it out and be responsible?
So
To make sure that these animals are healthy and that they're licensed and had to have their shots.
So two things. Number one, the HOA would own the dog park, but the HOA doesn't own the dogs.
Yeah.
The owners of the dogs are still responsible for the registration, inoculation, immunization.
So
You know,
you're not going to expect that they have that when they come in the little gate?
I think we expect that of them when they move them into the community, period. They're out walking their dogs now on leashes.
Yeah, the leash is right, but when you're in a dog park, you're
Right.
not on a leash.
I
The
can
dog
appreciate
runs
that.
free.
I own 3 dogs myself. So I am a
Aw.
responsible dog owner. My dogs
Good,
are
I'm
licensed with
glad.
my town. I keep up on their
Okay.
inoculation, their
Okay.
immunizations,
Uh-huh.
and I make sure that those certificates are in place.
So it's the honor system.
It's on the owner, period. The
Monroe
obligation,
Township-
right.
Monroe Township goes after you also. You have to keep your dog licensed.
Correct.
Within the township.
Whether you use a dog park or not, you're required to have a license.
Well, as far as I know, when I took the dog to the dog park, I just walked into the dog park. Nobody ever told me I had to have anything special for her. So, this is news to me. I think if there are going to be posted rules, like the animals have to be licensed, it should be posted somewhere.
There'll be
If there's
rules.
no legal responsibility for us as just regular people here, that's also very nice. My third question is, who's going to clean up the dog park? When I used to have a dog pen area, when I had a house years ago, I had to go in there and clean it up. Who's going to clean this?
We
Are we gonna
expect the
hire
owners
somebody?
to be responsible, just as they are when they walk their dogs through the community. They're
No,
responsible to
no,
pick up
that's
the
not going to
waste.
work. That's
That's
not going to work. If somebody
on the
comes
owners.
past my house, they've got a bag. If they don't have one, I would give them one. I have all those New York Times bags I save for that reason. So that's not going to be a problem if they walk past my house. It's going to be, and I haven't found any poop laying around my house, which is fine. But in that place like that, somebody's going to have to clean it because people are not going to walk around and follow their dogs. It's just not going to work unless you have a guard there telling people, hey, your dog just did that. Go over there and clean it up.
So again, we're an association of people. So we're only as strong or as weak as the people who want to participate in the rules.
And we're only as strong as the weakest link.
Right. So we received a work order today, for example. Someone put a work order in and said, please remove the dog poop from my lawn. True story. True story. So whether there's a dog park or not,
Yeah.
people are not following rules.
Yeah.
It is a municipal ordinance to clean
Right.
up after your dog.
So we're gonna have
Municipal
this
ordinance,
huge area.
municipal ordinances, excuse me, municipal ordinances take precedent over any rule this community can create. And then the state kicks in and the Fed kicks in. So the HOA has is the first line of defense, but by no means are we the final.
Well,
So-
if this comes to be, I would like to see it all written up so regular people like me can read it. I'd
Sure.
like to see it presented in the paper. I don't know if there's a channel where I can see the program name, CLC, whatever, because I can't get it. I get Clearbrook, so I know what's going on in Clearbrook.
We'll ask Clearbrook to run it so that
That's
we
true.
can
I
make
think
sure
you
a portion of
should.
the
That would be
community
very
gets it.
nice.
You're not the
Anyway,
only
like I
one
said,
that
I
gets the
still
Clearbrook
can't see
channels.
how it's going to work because unfortunately, I just don't trust the weakest link. I really don't. So good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
The reasons that I ask these questions is I'm very concerned about the finances of the association. We all know that we're getting $395,000 from Comcast. That is a one-shot payment. It doesn't recur every year,
Correct.
which means next year, the next board will have to make up that $395,000 in the budget. And there are 2 ways it can be done. One, increase of dues can also be a special assessment, or 2, the other way is you cut back on the services. And you've seen already how we've cut back on services, like we only mulch once every other year. And that's one way of cutting it. I've heard people talking about, well, maybe we don't need nursing on the 3rd shift. That'll save us money. But regardless, we're not going to have $395,000 in income that we get, so it's going to have to be made up. That's why I review the financials so very carefully, and that's why I ask these questions, because like everyone else, I'm concerned about what the maintenance fees are going to be going forward. You can't just arbitrarily say, Well, we want to keep them under 10% because we don't want to show double-digit increases. But that's not real life. If our expenses go up, again, we raise maintenance fees, assessments, or we reduce the services we provide. So just want to go over more. I just have a lot of questions on the budget, on the
Paul,
finance.
Paul, I have to interrupt you. You have never heard from any member of this current board that any member of this board wanted to cut nursing or even considered cutting nursing. So I will speak on behalf of this board that we're offended by you even implying
No,
that.
if you had heard what I said, I didn't say the board, I said I've heard around. People, it's anything else. You can start a rumor and then the rumor goes around. I never said the board. I'm just saying that's what I've heard. It's been said in the past also. It's not something new.
Anything else?
Yeah, I had more questions on the financials.
Finances. No. No, I'm sorry, because
well, let me
as
go
Paul
back.
has said,
Let me go
his
back.
questions want to be heard by the community, so I think the community deserves the answers.
And that's what I was told by the board. But let me go back to the dog park before going to that. How much is it anticipated that the dog park will cost?
We're in the process of putting numbers together.
Around, any round estimate yet?
Well, I would say guessing in the 5 to 10K range all in.
Is that going to come before the community for a vote, or is that just going to be the board?
That's a board decision, sir.
Board
You know that.
decision. And you know that, Paul. You used to be on the board. You know that's a board decision.
What about the insurance? How much is that going to have any impact on our insurance?
None.
None?
Correct.
Okay, then for the few pickleball players here, it's going to be by the tennis court. I assume by the furthest tennis court.
It's going to be in the grassy area between the maintenance parking lot and the walkway leading towards the tennis courts.
So is that near like the bocce?
No, sir, right off the parking lot before you get to the tennis courts. It's where we've observed most people walking their dogs, entering the tennis court to let them loose and run around off leash in the tennis court. So this is the closest proximity location to correct that violative behavior.
Okay, is that going to have any impact on the pickleball and tennis ball players' noise? Because when you're playing pickleball, they're playing tennis, you don't hear people cheering or anything. Now, is that going to have a conflict with the dogs barking when the people are playing their pickleball and tennis?
No different than people walking their dogs, which they're permitted to do all around the tennis court and pickleball court.
Yeah, but now you're not talking about 1 or 2 dogs occasionally. You're talking about whatever number of dogs.
Okay, Paul, the decision has been made, so we could debate it until midnight, but it's not going to change. There's going to be a dog park. Because people have requested it. That's
How many? How many people? How many?
I'm not going to debate this all night with you. We still have another person waiting to speak.
Okay, then ask to have a limit. Ask to have a limit then, okay? Propose it to this board here.
Folks, to be clear, we adjourn the meeting.
You know.
I welcome all of you to stay for the question and answer, but we adjourn it so that people who choose to leave at the end can do so. You're welcome to stay. Obviously, we continue to record and broadcast it, and we do appreciate your attendance and we appreciate your staying. I hope not.
Okay, I have one more question. Marlene Zarnowski, 29 George Washington Drive. What is Connect? You talked about Connect like it's this real important thing. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So it's a software platform that we use to run the community. It's where you can log in, look at your bill, enter a work order, see the rules and regulations, see the relevant documents that are out there for you.
Written down somewhere so I can take it?
Yes,
to my
ma'am. You can go to the
husband and he can
concierge.
explain it
It's
to me?
been here since August 1st of 2023. We've announced this many times. We've had initiatives in this office, in this room specifically to sign people up for it. A couple different evenings when we first got here, but we'll be happy to help you to get online to connect.
Okay, well, I'll go and ask the concierge and she'll tell me, I
She
suppose.
has a form. She can give you
Okay,
all the
good,
instructions.
very
And
good.
if you have
Thank
any issues with that, let me know.
Thank you, and please don't yell at me, okay?
Thank you for coming out tonight.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Go Yanks.